Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Monday, February 14th. Holy cow, it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. All the lovers out there. Hope everybody is doing well out there in the world. There is a lot going on right now. If you're watching us live on Twitter or on Facebook, then by all means, throw out a comment, and if I can see them, I will gladly respond to them. If you're watching us on Instagram, Twitter, etc., or Instagram, YouTube, etc., I can't see your comments. So I'm just not doing that. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot going on right now. The sausage is being made as we speak. So first of all, there's two things that we're fighting for. If you're new to the group, by the way, welcome to the group. You found the right place. If you're looking to get your loans canceled, you found the right place. If you're looking to get a break on interest or some other negotiated settlement, you came to the right place. If you are done with these loans and quite frankly, you need to file for bankruptcy, you came to the right place. No matter what your student loan situation may be, this is the right place. So our group has been around for 17 years now. We started the petition on change.org in March 2020, calling on the president to cancel all federally owned student loans by executive order. It's a very key distinction, canceling loans by executive order versus canceling loans through Congress. Through Congress is incredibly expensive. You have to pay $1 for every dollar in loans that you want to cancel. By executive order is essentially free. The taxpayers funded 90% of all student loan debt many years ago. And they didn't pay 1.87 trillion, by the way. They paid a tiny fraction of that. The government has been profiting on this lending system since 2010 when President Obama federalized the lending system. So the all federally owned student loans, which is 90% of all student loan debt, can be canceled tomorrow without needing one dime from the Treasury, without adding even one penny to the national debt. It's a very sexy concept. And as you can tell, here now we're talking about canceling student loans by executive order at the top of the news today as we speak. So good for us. Almost nobody was talking about canceling student loans by executive order until about 4, 5, 6 months into the life of our petition at change.org/cancel student loans. Now we're way up over 1 million signatures and everybody's talking about it. So we're thrilled, but look at the kitty. Little production value there. So yeah, we're thrilled and everything like that. But guys, this is the most important thing the second most important thing I'm going to say tonight is up to $50,000 is a joke. It's a trick. It's weasel wording. And for the life of me, I don't know where Elizabeth Warren plucked that number out of the air from. And what's even more sinister, and it is quite frankly pretty sinister, guys, for many, many years, we have seen our opposition, the student loan swamp, play a trick on the American people where they foist a very pleasant sounding loan cancellation program on us. Like, public service loan forgiveness or income-based repayment or pay-as-you-earn or revised pay-as-you-earn or income contingent repayment. All of these plans have been cruel jokes on the people. And up until very recently, when at the 11th hour, they finally started canceling some public service loan forgiveness loans. But even with all the public service loan forgiveness loans that they canceled, the success rate for all of the programs writ large that I just mentioned is like 1% or less, like less than 1%. So this all comes down to the second thing that we're fighting for, which is bankruptcy. But frankly, bankruptcy is more important than cancellation. And I'll tell you why. We are not going to see meaningful loan cancellation unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. Now, nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. You don't want to file. I don't want to file. I have student loans. You have student loans. I don't want to file. That's not the point. The point is we've got to have the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. The founders called for bankruptcy ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise a freaking army in the Constitution. They knew something. And the fact that here we are 250 years later, student loans are the only type of loan to be uniquely stripped of this constitutional right. And look at the results. Look at the consequences. When they took away bankruptcy completely in 1998, we saw student loan debt in the country and college prices whoosh, go like that. It's a very direct relationship. They turned these loans into weapons against us. That's what they did. That's what taking bankruptcy protections does to a loan. Now, so we're fighting for bankruptcy. We've got a great bill in the Senate right now, S2598. And if you forget everything I say tonight, remember this. Go to our website, go to the daily actions, and do a month worth of our daily actions. We're fighting for this bill, S2598, probably 80% or 70% of our time and energy is devoted to that. And the rest is devoted to loan cancellation. It's kind of it's a balancing act. But again, maybe not quite another very important point, let me just say, is that bankruptcy and loan cancellation are not opposing concepts. And anybody trying to pit the one against the other ought to be ashamed of themselves. Bankruptcy and loan cancellation are simpatico. In fact, as I just said, most important thing I will say tonight, we will not get meaningful loan cancellation unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy returned. It's a very hard lesson that we learned over 17 long years of careful observation and thorough investigation. So please remember that. The fact that we're fighting for everybody with student loans needs to be fighting for bankruptcy, whether they would ever or never file. In fact, very few people, maybe nobody, will even have to file for bankruptcy once we get that right returned. Just the threat of bankruptcy alone is enough to compel very widespread, maybe even total federal loan cancellation. And it's just got to happen, because as long as bankruptcy remains gone, they're going to continue to foist these fake, nonsensical, up to $50,000 loan cancellation gimmicks on us. And we can't do that. This lending system is too dangerous. It's become too much of a national threat at this point. So don't be fooled. And we like Elizabeth Warren. We have no problems whatsoever with Elizabeth Warren. We're glad that she embraced the concept of canceling student loans by executive order. Good for her. But at the same time, we're not gonna pretend that up to $50,000 is meaningful when it is not meaningful. It just is not meaningful, guys. And you heard it here first, I guess. But we don't kowtow to anybody. So that is what that is. So I'm looking for your comments now. There's no guarantee that I'm going to see them again, by the way. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So yeah, two things we're fighting for: the bill, S2598. Second thing we're fighting for is loan cancellation by executive order. Those are the only two things that we're fighting for. There maybe are some other things that we should fight for. There's some things that we feel very strongly about, like the fact that anybody over the age of 65 who actually needs their Social Security to live should have their loans just absolutely erased. But we're fighting for that because, guys, all federally owned loans should be erased completely. And they pretty much will be, guys. The great strength that we have, ladies and gentlemen, is our numbers. So as a group, we should be quite strong. We have over 1 million people on our petition, a couple of 100,000 people on our other platforms. But the big numbers are just absolutely compelling, folks. Before this pandemic, over half of all borrowers were not paying on their student loans, their federal student loans. In fact, before the pandemic, as an absolute metric, 64.3% of everybody was not paying on their federal loans. Now, some of those people were in school, so you kind of have to maybe not count those guys. But even when you don't count the people who were in school or on a grace period, it's still 57% of all borrowers were not paying on their student loans. The default rate for 2004 students was going to be over 40%, even before the pandemic, like the 20-year default rate. It's going to be even higher than that now. It's going to be 45 or 50%, but that's for the class of 2004, right? Class of 2004 only borrowed a third of what's being borrowed today. So for everybody walking around with student loans right now, my best estimate is that the default rate was going to be 75%, 70%, even before the pandemic. So I don't think the pandemic was super good for most people. I think a lot of jobs got lost that are not coming back. I think the pandemic was a breathtaking windfall for some rich people. Of that, there is no doubt. But for mom and dad or mom and pops, you and me, normal people, I don't think the pandemic was great. So whatever the default rate was going to be before the pandemic, like 70%, you can add 10 or 15% onto that now. So just by way of comparison, the subprime home mortgage default rate was about 20%. So we are looking at something well over triple, maybe even quadruple. In fact, I'd say almost certainly quadruple the default rate for subprime home mortgages. Now, how stupid is that? This lending system is toast, guys. It's vanishing into a mist of illegitimacy as we speak. Student loans, like them or hate them, are becoming one large national joke. Like, at what point do you just have to kind of look at the sky and just start laughing, right? But I know it's definitely a very serious thing and not a joke for many people out there. You know, we have people like, I'm just going to say V. I'm not going to say her full name. She originally borrowed $26,000, right? And this is back in the, I think, late 80s, early 90s. She's in her 50s now. So flash forward 25, 30 years, she has repaid $93,000 on this $26,000 loan. That's a lot of money to be paying on a $26,000 loan. She still owes $132,000 on this $26,000 loan. Those are the sort of cartoonish, ridiculous numbers that we're seeing, particularly for older borrowers. You know, up to 50,000 loan cancellation, which again, it's not going to be 50,000, but let's even assume that it is, for the sake of argument, the absolute max that Elizabeth Warren seems to want to promise. Let's say this person V got a $50,000 reduction in her student loan debt. She would still owe $82,000 on what began as a $26,000 loan, and she's already paid back nearly $100,000 on this loan. How's that going to help her? It doesn't. It's an insult. It's a joke. It's ridiculous. So I'm telling you guys, the trick out there is the fix is in. And I don't know how smart or cunning or wise or whatever Elizabeth Warren is. I'll let her explain herself. She can defend herself. But what I can tell you is that this up to $50,000 language is tricky and it's a joke. And they're setting us up for the exact same trick that was played on us since 2007. And we're not doing that shit again. Pardon my French. We're not going to be fooled. And you shouldn't be either. So, you know, May 1st is coming, guys. It's closer than you think. Well, it's probably exactly as close as you think. I don't know. It's February 15th now, February 14th now, whatever. It's close. May 1st is coming up. And I don't know. I say there's still about a 50-50 chance that they won't turn it back on. But honestly, maybe a little less than that now. They seem to be a little more serious last time that they extended it. I think they may actually turn it on, maybe let's say for the sake of argument that they do turn back the lending system on May 1st. Think about your own situation. If you're like most people, you are not going to resume paying on your loans. You're just not. my best guess is that 85, maybe even 90% of everyone is not going to resume paying on their loans. Maybe even higher than that. I don't know. This lending system is done, guys. It's toast. People have had 2 years to rethink their lives. So do you want to face May 1st with or without the power of bankruptcy back on your side? In other words, do you want May 1st to roll around and maybe your loans are already in default or whatever the case may be, or maybe you're not going to resume paying? Do you want to face that reality with bankruptcy protections, with at least the threat of bankruptcy in your back pocket, or without it? Like, I'm sort of banking on the fact that 100% of everybody watching this wants that second thing, and they see how stupid it is to even consider facing May 1st within the continued absence of bankruptcy protections. It's ridiculous. No, you want that first thing. So, guys, I'm telling you, bankruptcy is just so important. Whether you would ever or never file doesn't matter. Very few people should even have to file, but we've got to have the power back. It's the most important thing I've said tonight. Probably the most important thing I will ever say in this battle that we've been engaged in for 17 very long years. So take it seriously, guys. I know we don't seem like that big of a deal of a group. We're not professionally branded, and we don't have an executive staff and a marketing department. We have none of those things. But this group right here is where all that stuff started. We would not be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, but for the fact that our petition got super rockin' big during the pandemic. And thankfully, Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer embraced the concept. I don't think we would be. We would definitely not have a bankruptcy bill in the Senate right now to fight for, but for our efforts. And some people in the Senate actually even told me that. So, yeah, we may not look like much, guys, but we are the eye of the hurricane. We are the thought leaders, at least on the borrower side, for this problem. And we are the pioneers. And, you need to take that seriously, because on any given day, honestly, I only see a couple hundred people doing anything for this battle. And that's not nearly enough. And, I don't want to beg and plead and cajole you to step up and fight this battle. I don't want to be the guy that is haranguing you to help us fight. Quite frankly, I shouldn't have to. But the most true thing that we've learned over 17 years is that when nobody does anything, or more to the point, when most people assume that because this group has 1 million members or whatever, that somebody else is going to pull your weight for you, nothing ever happens. I only wanted to be doing this for 2 years, guys. And the reason that we didn't get it done in 2 years, well, let's say the reason that we didn't get this done in 5 years was because not enough people like you embraced this suck and owned this problem and fought at least as half a hard as I am fighting to get this problem solved. I don't expect people to make this a full-time job necessarily, but if you want these loans gone, this is exactly the right time for you to turn over a new leaf and help us fight. And I don't mean give us money. We don't need hardly any money at all. I'm talking about actually getting your hands dirty and doing the work necessary. And again, that starts, the first best place to start is go to our website and do a month worth of our daily actions. I would also say read the last 5, 6, 7 articles that we've published. You can see them on the website, or you can go to our, you can actually go to our Medium site, which is studentloanjustice.medium.com. Read those articles carefully. And if you do, then you'll know pretty much what I know. You'll know more than enough to be a very adequate student loan justice warrior. Well, that's what we need you to do, guys, because the people in Washington, D.C. are not going to solve this problem for you. Talking heads on the internet, like including me, are not going to solve your problem for you. It's not going to happen. What's going to solve this problem is when you realize that these are your loans, This is your livelihood, and this is your future that's at stake. And embrace that suck and take it seriously. This is a battle very easily won when we all pull together. And frankly, whether you do it with this group or on your own as a army of one, as they say, I don't really care. But you need to be fighting, and you need to not be lazy. You need to not sit there and wait and watch and worry and cheerlead and expect that somebody else is going to pull your weight for you. Like right now, for example, there's over a third of U.S. states are underwater in student loan debt vis-a-vis their state budgets. And these are typically red states, red southern states like Texas, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, many others, Alabama. We need to be calling on those governors very strongly and say, Governor, how could you let your state be conquered and enslaved in debt? How could you let this happen? How could you let this big government federal lending scam, college enriching scam be played on your state? Mr. Governor, call on the president to get rid of this federal student loan system and return bankruptcy protections to all the loans, including those that can't be canceled administratively. That's what we need you to do. I don't care how you do it. I would suggest join your state chapter group. Go to our website, join your state chapter, and help get it rolling. You know, we've got hundreds of people in many of these state chapters. They're not small, but they're not doing anything either. I got to be honest. They're not doing a damn thing most nights, and they need leadership. So as corny as it may sound, I actually learned this in typing class. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. That is something that you type in typing class, at least like 40 years ago when people my age were in high school. Anyways, but it's true. Your country actually needs you on this. I can tell you for sure that they do. If they didn't, I wouldn't be asking. They do. On any given day, maybe a couple hundred, maybe as many as 1,000 people are actually doing stuff for this battle that I can see. That needs to improve dramatically. This is a very easily winnable fight. Hey, we've got a couple comments here. So I've been lagging on these. So we have a comment from Steven Simpson, and let me just do a refresh. Steven says, finally, a tweet from Bernie yesterday since the Super Bowl was shamefully played in SoFi Stadium. Oh, thank you very much for mentioning that, Steven. Yes, SoFi. I hope that you all enjoyed the Super Bowl last night. It was, in my opinion, a great game. The Los Angeles Rams won a very close game. But let's step back for a moment there. First of all, I don't know about you, but I couldn't stop looking into the stands because I wanted to see who are these people that can afford a $9,000 on average dollar Super Bowl ticket. Like, who takes their wife and 3 kids to the Super Bowl? Who has $40,000, $50,000 to throw around to do that? It's disgusting. It kind of makes me think about like the fall of Rome and stuff like that. But let's take a step even further back. Let's look at SoFi Stadium. You know, SoFi is a student loan company. They're dirty. They don't do much with the federal program. What they do is refinance federal student loans out of the federal program into private hands. That seemed like a pretty smart thing to do a couple of years ago, but that doesn't seem like a very smart thing to do at all today, since federal loans can and ultimately will be canceled by executive order. SoFi paid $625 million for the naming rights to that stadium. Now, SoFi's portfolio, as best as I've been able to determine, and I could be off by 10 billion or so one way or the other, I don't think their portfolio is much bigger than about $30 billion. So, they probably make somewhere around $200 million in interest per year on their student loan portfolio, somewhere in that neighborhood. Yet they went ahead and shelled out $625 million just for the privilege of being able to slap their name on the Super Bowl stadium, on SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. It's disgusting. It's disgusting, guys. Who really won the Super Bowl? who really won, who really played, and who really got played in the Super Bowl? I would say we got played. I would say SoFi won that Super Bowl. And remember, these loans that SoFi does, they are way more vicious and sinister than standard bank loans. SoFi went out of their way to make sure that these loans remained legally considered to be educational loans, so that they are stripped of the same bankruptcy protections that every other bank loan enjoys. Frankly, I don't know how they got away with that. I don't see what justification they could possibly use to suggest that these are now educational loans. These are refinance loans. They lent somebody money. And it was based on credit, and the fact that whatever that money was used to pay for should have nothing at all to do. SoFi should not be able to get around the bankruptcy laws, but they do. So I have no love for SoFi. Quite frankly, I mean, the writing's on the wall, guys. Nobody's going to resume paying their federal loans almost when this thing is done. Frankly, bankruptcy protections need to be returned to private loans. That's another very important point. If you have private loans, I would advise you very strongly to fight for HR 4907. So that bill that I said earlier, S2598, that returns bankruptcy protections to federal student loans. It does not return bankruptcy to private student loans. So if you have private loans and you're being screwed, you need to fight very hard for HR 4907. Quite frankly, we're not spending many of our group's resources on that bill. It doesn't seem to be really going anywhere. That could change. And when you start getting off your ass and fighting, it will change. But you know, that's just one too many battles for us right now. If we saw a good chance, and if we saw a lot of people out there fighting for this bill, we would help. And so, but I need to see some action out there from the people. I need to see people fighting for themselves in order for me to use our group's strength, our very, very limited resources, which is our people and our attention. I need to see a reason to get into the fight. And, you know, I think it's disgusting that private loans were even exempted from bankruptcy protections in the first place. But I'm just talking as a practical matter, guys. We have a great bill in the Senate, S2598. We're fighting for that. If you want to fight for HR 4907, keep us posted closely. And if we can help, I will strongly consider it. But it starts with you. It always has, and it always will. So thanks for mentioning that. And I should probably say Bernie was the guy who I learned that SoFi paid $625 million for the naming rights to that stadium was. So kudos to Bernie. Where's Bernie been, by the way? Where has Bernie been? I don't know. I followed him all over Iowa, by the way. Not a bad guy. But, you know, but I have to say, even Bernie really was kind of missing the boat. And I hate to say that, you know, he was calling for cancellation of all student loans. And I think he was way more serious about it than, say, Elizabeth Warren or others. But even Bernie was kind of MIA on the bankruptcy issue. Now, again, and rewind this tape if you don't understand. But I'm going to finish by making the very most important point that I've already made twice here tonight already, because it is that important. You need to understand whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy is not important. I get it. Bankruptcy is unpleasant. Nobody wants to file. And quite frankly, very few people will have to file when we get that threat back. But do you want to face May 1st without the threat of bankruptcy in your back pocket? Or do you want to be naked and afraid when May 1st rolls around? This is all goes by way of saying, or this is all to come around to the final point for the third time that, guys, we will not see meaningful student loan cancellation unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy back. That is the truest, most important thing I'm going to say tonight. So the very last thing I will say, and again, I'm repeating myself, go to our website, join your state chapter, do a month worth of our daily actions. It's like Twitter stuff. You can probably do a month worth of daily actions in no more than 10 or 15 minutes. It doesn't take that long at all. Get on it. We're not going to win this battle until you join the fight. These are your loans. This is your battle. You can't sit there, wait, watch, and worry and eat popcorn and expect that anybody's going to pull your weight for you. That never works, never has worked, never will work. We need you to get into this fight. So good luck. Turn over a new leaf. I will not be back on Wednesday. I'll be back on Friday. Ed will be back tomorrow and maybe on Wednesday. I'm taking a little break. So, okay, guys, everything is going well. Oh, last comment from Janice DeWitt. She says, we the people. That's right. People power, Janice. This is it. This is ground zero. We're the group. So good luck, Godspeed, and God bless everybody. And I'll see you on Thursday or Friday.